Welcome to Hate to Weight, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We are not doctors, we don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because we're all in this together.
Emily, I don't like being 2 weeks away from you.
I know. I feel very sad, but I am so happy that you did a solo episode because on my flight back, I finally got to write the notes for it and listen to it fully and put it up for everybody. And I gotta say, if I ever have to take a week off again, John, I think you should do more solo episodes.
Oh, I don't know.
I really think so. Everybody, can we encourage John to do more solo episodes if I'm not here? I mean, I don't have any travel really coming up in the near future, but April I do, and June I do. I don't know if it'll be a Thursday. I don't think either of those are Thursdays, but I think if John wants to do solo episodes, I say go for it.
Yeah, but you had the edited version. You didn't have the stuttering, stammering version that everybody got to hear in the group. And listen, group, I don't do this all the time. So, you can come in here. If hatetoweight.com/Facebook, you can join the group. But, it was, again, listen, I need to do more of it. So I probably would do it again. And the amount of people that wanted to co-host with me, like Stargate Pioneer from...
Yeah. That would be fun.
Right. And I'm big into Discord now. I don't know if you know what Discord is.
I do know what Discord is. It still intimidates me. I don't know why. I know everyone's like, what? Why? And also, I don't need another thing. I can't have another thing.
I felt the same way, but it's like people that work from home, it has a component where you can go in and do a voice chat where you could just sit in there as you're working and do stuff.
I do want that. I want virtual co-working. I talked about it last year and everyone's like, that sounds stupid. And guess what? Everyone's doing right now. And I'm like, virtual co-working. That's all I need. I need somebody live, like keeping me accountable and being like, hey, you still doing your work? Hey, what'd you get up and do?
But it's like when you go away from the, it's like when you want to go get a drink or something like that, you need a little time. You can't just sit here all the time. So that was what's great about Discord. So I was in the Discord with them, and Stargate Pioneer is a big fan of this show. He listens. He had the phone on his arm, and he's like, hey, look, I'm getting ready to work out, and I'm listening to the show.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I was excited about that. And, we asked other people, hey, why don't you tell us where, send us a picture in the group where, where you're listening.
And by the way, if you're hearing the name Stargate Pioneer and are like, oh, am I on a sci-fi show right now? This is one of our friends. He does the podcast Gonna Geek Show, and he also does Better Podcasting. So if you're a hobby podcaster, go check them out. Such good advice. Really, really knowledgeable, especially if you like tech. They are your tech guys. They are the people I send people to if they want to talk tech.
So, and it's nice. So anyhow, I was in the Discord with them, and, it's a great little place to play around with. And it was fun to make one. I made my own Discord, to be quite honest with you. I have my own Discord server. Nobody's in there, like 5 people.
What does that mean when you have a Discord server? Do you just say, hey, here's my Discord server. This is where I'm hanging out. Is it basically, like, compare it to Slack?
Okay,
that's
it's like having a Slack group. You can have private chats. You can have private text chats. You can have private or public voice chats.
How do you keep them all figured out? Like when you're in a Discord server and you're like, okay, well, I'm in your Discord server. Like I would want to join Heather Welch's from the Sunshine and Power Cuts Discord server. Like I would do too many, and then I'd be overwhelmed and be like, oh, it's too much.
You think that's the case, but it's not. They're all on the left-hand side. So you could be talking to me and then go over and click on Heather's and check out her chat.
Yeah.
What's going on? I'm telling you, if I got you in there and you got around, you'd love it.
Okay, but how much time does it take for you? Like, how are you really into it?
I was. And then, as I do, okay, so I got into the Discord thing through another podcast. And one of the podcasters that I don't get along with, he was part of it.
I was going to say, I'm like, how long did it take for you to start a fight?
Not long. And, well, again, and I say this to people all the time, if you don't attack me, you won't get attacked. So my mantra, The way I go through life is, if you treat me good, I treat you better. If you treat me bad, I treat you worse. So you decide on how I treat you. I think that's a pretty good way to go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyhow, so I got into it with one of the podcasters who I didn't like in the first place, and reasonably so. I don't like the guy. So I got out of there. Now, I'm not going to lie, it was a pretty good time suck, but used reasonably, I think Discord is a pretty cool place to be. It's better. Okay, it's better than Twitter.
Okay, well that bodes well for it in my book then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or yes. So anyhow, it was, and there's a lot of good stuff over there. So Discord servers. I mean, if you're into them, I kind of liked it. So that was my thing. Okay, so let's get into your week because I got a ton of questions to ask you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So the first question I have for you is that you put a post on your, I'm going to call it your Finsta, your fake. It's not really your fake Instagram account, but it's the account that really isn't associated with your name.
Oh, yeah. It's not even my fake Instagram account. This was when I first got Instagram, when I wasn't online. I wasn't trying to be Emily Peck Prokop, host of The Story Behind, podcaster. This was me. I have 20 friends on Instagram. I want to go over there and join it when I was first started. And so I used the name that I have been using since college for a screen name, for another Twitter account. And it's very personal. I only follow people who I've known for a really long time or who I've met in person. It's not a freely follow account. And I really stopped using it when I got into building my business because I was like, you know what? Let's make this private because this goes all the way back to college. I don't need people wanting to work with me and seeing, hey, there's Emily singing karaoke 15 years ago with a beer in her hand. And so I made that private.
I want to see that, Emily.
John, I will tell you stories if you want.
I've heard stories. But
yeah.
Here's my question. That you said that you felt like you needed that because you needed to be Emily from 15 years ago with 2 beers in her hand singing karaoke.
Well, I didn't need to be that, but I started posting over there again because there were things I really like Instagram, and I like taking pictures, and I like being artistic over there and writing posts. And then I realized that I was trying to do that on sort of my more podcasty Emily Peck Prokop account. And I wasn't actually getting feedback or any interaction from people. People would just be like, oh, well, that's nice and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to share this with the world. I kind of want to keep it for me. I want a space that's just for me online where I can post stuff. And of course, as soon as I go over to that account and I start posting this thing, I'm just like, I'm going to try to post over here more often. So I have a private account. Then I have nothing to post until my uncle died. And my uncle died the other day. We knew he was going to go, and he had colon cancer, and he was a wonderful man. I had a falling out with that side of the family for a really long time, and I'm glad to be getting closer to that side of the family now. Now, I say this on this podcast because Hate to Wait, I reveal a lot on Hate to Wait. I reveal a lot more on Hate to Wait, and it's always funny because when people come to me after and they're like, oh, I listened to you on Hate to Wait. How's this going? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, no. Come over to this corner and we'll talk about this privately.
I know.
Yeah, but so it was really nice to have a place to sort of express that. I also did that on Facebook, but Facebook is another thing where all my friends are mixed, and that's fine to a point, but I even wrote in the post, I do some selling. I use Instagram, the Emily Peck Prokop account, for business, to talk to clients, to tell people what I'm doing. And you know what? My friends from high school, if they haven't wanted to start a podcast by now and come to me, they probably don't need all this podcasting crap in their feed. So it was just one of those things. Hey, I want to be able to see you at a party, have a conversation with you without you thinking that I'm going to be at Emily Peck Prokop on Instagram, giving you podcast tips and asking you to buy my course and go to my website and stuff. No, I want to show you that I'm not always like that, because it's very hard online. I don't even know how to describe this. I wasn't expecting to talk about it, so I'm kind of all over the place. But
I don't know me. Yeah. I love, that's exactly, well, see, I have the same problem because there's John, the business guy, John, the podcaster, and there's John that likes to poke people with a fork, you know? And there's like John that likes to tease people and, you know, get people into a conversation and maybe drum up a little drama and stuff like that. I mean, I don't mind having a good old-fashioned debate.
Yeah.
And so, but I haven't really been able to separate myself from that. So in other words, if you go to my Instagram, it's me fighting with some of my podcast friends and me joking around, and then also me talking about tech. And sometimes I'm and me talking about politics too, because when I see something stupid in politics, I'm like, this is stupid. Or
that's another thing. I don't think I will talk about politics, but I've had opinions that I have wanted to express. But I've kind of stuffed them down because I also don't want it's like, no, if you're going to be my client or like associated with my client, I don't actually want to have political conversations with you. Unless it's something like, I want you to edit my show and it's completely against what you believe. That's the only time I'll have a political conversation with somebody in podcasting really. But for me, politics isn't something I have fun talking about ever.
So but there's a lot of pressure trying to be the person that's always the business person. When you have that other person there that needs to express themselves. That's what I said. That's the weird thing. You know, back in the day, we used to just go to happy hour, have a couple drinks, throw out some, nobody knew. Yeah. We don't do that stuff anymore. And certainly not doing it now.
Happy hour is now taped and broadcast and live and put on Facebook and Twitter. I remember those happy hours too. And thank goodness camera phones weren't great quality back then, and nobody posted every single picture they took online back then. There would have been a lot of questions, and my mom already thinks I did a bunch of things I didn't do. God forbid she find out the things I did do.
Exactly. I mean, so, and then even when you go, so you went to Podfest for the week, and we'll get into that, but I just want to tell this one story.
Yeah.
Is I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I saw Emily dancing. And I was like, oh, look at Emily dancing. Look at her go. And so then, but I'm thinking to myself, does Emily really want anybody seeing her dancing? I don't know that. But, you know, we're friends and everything. And the first thing I thought was, boy, that must be so great for her because, you know, she's out with her friends, nobody to worry about, just throwing down, having a good time, listening to music. And then the other part of me thought to myself, you know, I understand that it's from the heart. Like the person that took that video, was thinking the same thing I was thinking. But I don't know if I would want somebody videotaping me dancing like a big old polar bear.
Actually, it's interesting you bring up the dancing because that has a lot to do with how I've been going about movement and yoga, how I've tried to get yoga in every day. And I always get a little bit. Sometimes I know I give myself too big of a leeway with, it doesn't matter how much yoga you get, just a little bit every day, as long as you could say you did yoga. And I know I give myself like, okay, there's my excuse. I'm going to reach up and touch the sky and do a big breath and reach down and touch my toes. And I don't feel like doing anything else. So there are some days like that where I'm like, you know what? My yoga was kind of half-assed. Let me turn on a song and dance around the kitchen. So I've started doing that. And I have started, because of yoga, I have better balance. I feel like I have more fun dancing because I can actually do things that I want to do. I put on my socks so I can kind of slip around the kitchen. And it's one of my favorite things just to put on that music and dance around. So when they had this dance party, and I really did have it in my head, when I'm in the kitchen, I dance like nobody is watching. I legit do, and I have a blast. So I decided, you know what? These are my friends. These are people who I went to this conference and no one believed that I was an introvert. People kept coming up to me and saying, people kept coming up to me and saying, you say you're an introvert online. I don't think you are. And I keep telling them, I'm like, because podcasters, I get to know on my own terms. If I'm curious about you, I will go listen to your podcast and listen to you for hours until I'm comfortable with you, until I know, okay, these are the things I'm comfortable talking about with this person. These are the things I'm not comfortable talking about with this person. As long as I have that sort of like, these are the commonalities we share.
It's a boundary, right?
It is. It is a boundary. And so when I went to Podfest, I was able to just go up to people. there were people who didn't want to be touched. And so they would put, we have the coronavirus scare going on right now. And they would put little green stickers on their badges that said, please don't hug or shake my hands or anything like that. We don't want to touch. For me, it's so hard because these are the few people I actually want to hug. I don't want to hug anybody else. I give people that sort of half hug where you arch yourself over and you just kind of pat their shoulder and that's the only touch you have with them.
Almost like a bro hug where you put in a shoulder.
I do that with a lot of people, but something about podcasters, I just love melting into some of them and giving them good, deep hugs. And I love that. And it's almost like, Emily, you only get to socialize really like this twice a year now because I've decided PodFest and She Podcast, those are going to be like my two main conferences that I go to. So if I have to wait until October to hug some of these people, I'm going to leave very disappointed. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to wash my hands a lot and I'm going to hug whoever wants to hug me. And I would keep coming up to people. And as it happens during conferences, I usually get more and more nervous. I find myself needing more and more introvert time and needing more breaks as it goes along because I want to see everybody. I really do. But my social energy goes down. And then there were certain people who I knew I could just go up to, put my head on, give a good hug to, take a deep breath and go, all right, I'm ready to face the masses again. And so I needed to do that. And that's why I was so comfortable dancing like nobody was watching, because even if they were watching me and videotaping me and they weren't dancing. And that's too bad. But if they didn't want to dance, that's fine. And I had a blast and I got a workout and I sweat. And man, I got to say, podcasters are just the best people. They really, truly are.
And, and as I think about it, they didn't post it. They posted it in a private group that we are in, and we're all friends.
Oh, that one. Oh, no. I thought you were talking about the Instagram, because I know Bonnie Frank took an Instagram of me from the back dancing and like really going at it, and she put it on her stories, and I was just like, that's what I look like. Okay.
But the thing about that was I knew that was you, but not you weren't identified. You weren't identified.
That's
and it
true.
was from the back, so nobody could tell. I knew it was you. So I was like, yeah. So and I thought to myself, look at her having a great time, letting her hair down.
Also, I've never seen myself dance before. I actually really enjoyed watching those videos. You know what else I saw? I saw not only the white man's overbite, apparently I bite both my lips when I dance. I just bite down on them. By the end of the night, my lips were puffy and pink, and I kept staring at it being like, I'm gorgeous. This is what I would look like with a lip job. I look amazing. And I was like staring at my lips going like, I don't even need makeup. They're all red and puffy. And this is what I used to do because I'm allergic to shrimp. I actually used to pick up shrimp and put it on my lips to get that Botox look. Nobody write letters. I was stupid at 18, and this is why the internet wasn't around back then, because we did stupid stuff that we did not want televised or put up there. But that's what I used to do. And I gotta say, watching myself dance and seeing myself with that over and under bite going on, oh man, that was funny for me. I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
It looked like a lot of fun. I don't know if I would have been able to handle it because I'm all jacked up over this stupid virus. We'll get into that later when we're talking about my week. Yeah, there were the two things that I, like I said, I saw and that I wanted to talk to you about, because I know that there's some anxiety of always trying to be on in this one person when you have other things, and you should be able to I don't know, put yourself when I say out there, comfortably in an environment that you feel comfortable in with friends where you can be yourself. And I'm glad to see you doing it.
I think a lot of just needing to acknowledge that I had to express that has actually made me a little bit more open on my business account, weirdly enough, just to say, let me tell this story, even though it has nothing to do with podcasting, about leaving my phone in an Uber at 5 a.m. And, that
was another thing that we got a chance to do, because you're like, I guess, well, being the old guy that I am, I get up to pee, and then when I come back, I check my phone, and then I get the text.
That's right, because I saw you liked something of mine, and it was something like 5 a.m, and I was like, oh, John must be up. And so I send John a message, because I'm like, I have to tell somebody this story. This story needs to be told. And you're like, yeah, I guess I'm up. And then not only did I didn't even type it out because I was like, it's going to take too long. And I actually recorded my voice saying it to you. So I'll go into the story quickly of losing my phone in an Uber. So I left my phone in an Uber. They dropped me off where I was. I didn't even realize for about 40 minutes because I got in. That was after the big dance party and everything. Took a shower, was about to go to bed. And then I'm like, okay, let me plug in my phone. I couldn't find it. And then I started getting a little worried. And then I started tearing apart all the bags I was carrying. And then I got my laptop and I was able to have that try to call my phone. And when I didn't hear it ringing, it's like, oh, okay, I left it in my Uber. So if you go to the Uber website, that's a common thing. I left my phone in my Uber. There's a little tab that you click and you fill out a form. They send you an email to verify that this is the email to reach you at. They ask you for a phone number to use. Now, this was 1:30 in the morning. All of my roommates were asleep. We had a phone in our Airbnb, but I didn't think of using it at the time, because we are so trained to just have our cell phones. Having a landline was like, whoa, it didn't even occur to me that we had that. But I didn't have a phone number to use to call back, but I did have the Hate to Wait voicemail line that I could get to with Google Voice. So I logged in, I turned off the go straight to voicemail. I set it up to make sure that you could call into it and answer it. And I had to have my headphones plugged in and my microphone plugged in. It actually looked like I was about to start a podcast with this Uber driver if he ever called me, because I had it all set up to go because that was the only way I could talk to him. And luckily, I have a Google Pixel, and one of the things with a Google Pixel is I was able to just go on my browser to google.com and type in, I lost my phone. And because you're all logged in and everything pops up what you need. Do you need us to erase the phone? Would you like us to put a message on the phone? Let me give you this green button that says call owner, and locked the phone. So as I kept ringing the phones that the Uber driver realized it was in his car, I could have all that up. Now, the other thing it has is you can locate your phone. For at least 14 minutes, my phone was at a place called Stars Men's Club. And I made the mistake of Googling it, not going into an incognito browser. So there's that in my browser history. It is exactly what you think it is.
It's a booby bar.
It sure is. Lovely dancers. I would like to think my Uber driver was there picking up somebody.
Sure.
After her shift to take her home to read her Bible or other spiritual book, whatever she needs to do. No judgment at all. But then he was nice enough to pick up my phone and bring it back. And it was something like 3 or 4 a.m. at that point. But that was a story. That was a fun story to have. And I was open about that on my Instagram. And it was one of those things that I think, actually it was funny. I posted it to Facebook and it didn't go until later. So a lot of people were messaging me going like, oh my gosh, can we help you? And I'm like, oh, I already got it back. And the funniest thing was telling this story, I was on the phone with somebody and they said, oh, did you get your phone back? And I had to say, I'm talking to you on the phone, right?
Jesus.
Nobody knows what to do when they don't have their cell phone. And it was so funny because I also wanted to document it too. And I'm like, I have no way to tell anybody this is happening.
I did it the other night. I'm watching TV on my phone while I'm in bed, and I'm like, where's my phone? I'm like, I'm watching TV on it. I just did it. Yeah. I did it actually myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of stupid
I do
stuff
that
like
with
that.
movies.
Yeah.
I watch movies on my phone and forget where my phone is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the time. Oh, so you have had an exciting week.
That was my exciting week.
Well, was there anything else that you wanted to?
I can't think of anything else. The week before, when I wasn't feeling well, I had a headache. The baby was up all night. Oh, he's been transitioning to a big boy bed. So it's kind of been, I actually didn't.
So he's been transitioning into your bed?
No. He's out of our bed. He's now, we got him a race car bed. And now we have to sit with him until he falls asleep. But we're sitting further and further away. Like I was next to the door last night. I didn't have to be right next to him. So, and I was able to do my work. So that's not terrible. But that was stressful. I'm glad Mark had the brunt of it while I was away. But yeah, the week before, and I couldn't record, we were just up with him and I had a headache and anxiety about going to. I just didn't feel great. And John took over and he was awesome. So thank you, John.
Oh, thank you.
And really the only thing I was going to talk about was the fact that I made my own bread that week. And even if you're intermittent fasting, don't eat a lot of bread.
That's funny because I have the same. It's funny how we have the same. We are in the same areas.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I'm all jacked up over this whole coronavirus thing. And there's very good reason for it because out of the 3 things that they tell you that can, that really goes after, I have all 3. So one of the things I want to say, if you're overweight and have like morbidities, I forget how to say that.
Mobility issues?
No, well, not mobility, it's morbidity. In other words, it's like
morbidly obese?
Well, no, it's like if you have, it would be like if you had asthma or lung issues or something like that. Okay, so I think it's morbidities, whatever. Anyhow, Joe Rogan has a podcast. It's also on YouTube. It's episode 1439, and it's with Michael Ostrom, and he is an internationally recognized expert in infectious diseases. And he goes over this whole thing. And, so first of all, it makes me furious that I have to go listen to a podcast to get the straight scoop of what's going on with this virus. And right now, this is just the start of it. This isn't, like he said, this isn't a blizzard where, in 4 days you can go out and, it's over. He says, this is going to be like a winter. This is going to be a while. The thing about it is people that are younger, people that are, it's not really bothering them. They can recover. But the people that they're having issues are people that are over 60. I'm 2 years away from that. Obesity is a big problem. And also if you have any kind of lung problems. And I've had asthma since I was 2. So it's like the 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I watched this video, or I watched the show like 3 times. And I'm telling you, there's more to it now than ever before. In other words, it's not just that if someone coughs on you, you can get it. If they're breathing the same air, like if you're in an Uber or any kind of group thing and they're breathing, you can get that. The virus is very, very contagious. And they said 6 feet. It's even further than that. So the anxiety of this is really just drove me crazy. And with my anxiety comes my eating disorder. So when he was saying like obesity is just like smoking, and if you have obesity and lung, you got to stay away. So I'm basically hunkered down in here. As far as I'm concerned, this virus is coming for the fats and the olds, and I'm both. And I'm like, you ain't going to get me, copper.
Have you seen that kids are basically not getting it at all?
They can carry it, but they don't get symptoms and they don't get sick.
Yeah.
So here, like today, I normally take my son to therapy every Thursday. I'm not doing that now. Because
I'm surprised that it's not canceled or they haven't done a virtual one. I know a lot of people are doing virtual things at this point. If anybody's looking for a good camera, because I have gotten this question, hey, I have to work from home, Logitech C920, just throwing that out there. Because I answered that a few times.
I got one which was one step down for like $23.
Oh, wow.
It works good. It doesn't work bad. So, so now basically what I'm doing is I'm playing hide and seek with a virus. That's what I'm doing.
You are in less contact with people normally, though, John.
Right, exactly. And I want to keep it that way.
I understand, yeah. Like, for you, I feel so at ease because I'm like, John talks to his drive-through guy. That's about it.
Well, okay. So the thing is that I've stopped going to drive-thrus.
I was wondering about that because we've kind of been like, we're a drive-through family too. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. But also, like, now I feel weird about going to the store and touching all the food that everybody's touched.
So what I have is I buy all my groceries online. Mm-hmm. And so then I'll do it at Walmart. And then when they come in and put the bags in, I take the bags when I come home and I have a spray bottle with bleach and water. I spray the outside of the bags and all the food down, and I wipe it down, and I put it away.
Really,
and
bleach?
I wash my hands.
I thought it was just alcohol that killed it. I didn't know bleach could. I
think bleach does too, and I do have alcohol, so I can do both. But so I'm doing my best. I'm washing my hands. I'm staying inside. I'm not. I used to go play poker at a bar every once in a while. I stopped doing that.
Oh, okay. Bleach does work.
Yeah, I'm hunkered. Yeah, so I have bleach and water. I just put it in a spray bottle, and I just spray things and just wipe everything down, wipe the counters down when I get done with stuff. But, and here's the other thing that I don't think I've ever told anybody about this, but I'm a huge hypochondriac. Like, I can't watch shows like Grey's Anatomy or back in the day when ER was on because as they're talking about the symptoms, I start getting them. Like my mind, I start feeling the same symptoms.
That's Mark. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I know it's not true, but whenever they start talking about the virus and the symptoms, like I'm like, I kind of got a headache right now. And am I running a temperature? It's ridiculous.
Part of me wants to just experiment with you and start listing off symptoms of perimenopause or something and be like, John, do you have this? Yeah? You think you have this? Do you have cramps?
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So that's one of the positive things. There's not that much fast food. But, so I'm cooking. And, I've come to the realization that I hate cooking. And then here's the other thing. I'm coming to the realization that some of the things that are easy to cook, is like pasta, it's easy. And then bread and butter, and then making sandwiches and stuff. And I just found out that pasta, bread, and butter are the devil.
Yeah, that's the thing is the things I know how to cook and are comfortable cooking are not good for me. And I think that's why I've really pulled away from cooking, is because when I do cook, I cook like macaroni and cheese and hamburgers. And I mean, I don't like chopping vegetables and cooking them. And also, actually, while I was at the Airbnb, I was staying with Carrie Caulfield Eric. She's another podcast editor. She actually was cooking, and I sat there at the breakfast bar watching her cook and trying to get techniques, because she just went to the store and she spent $40 for the week on vegetables and turkey and bread and eggs. Like, she knew how to just put together meals with things. And for me, it's like rocket science. It's like putting a bunch of Legos in front of me and saying, hey, build a spaceship. And I'd be like, I could build you a really great tower.
Right.
Will you accept a tower? But some people just look at Legos and they build this spaceship, and that's not me. And I wish it was. I wish I had those skills. I even took home ec, and all they did was teach me how to follow a recipe. So I don't want to follow recipes. I want to be able to go into a kitchen and be able to, like a robot, see a bunch of ingredients, put it together in my head, and come up with a meal. And that's what Carrie did. So I was watching her do this, and she was giving me different techniques for cooking, which in the 2 years of home ec I took in school, they didn't tell me these things of these flavors go together, and you want to mix a little fat with this, and you want to add some salt. And she told me to go watch the documentary. It's on Netflix. I forget the name of it. It's salt, heat, oil, fat. It's something with like 4 different things that you need for a good meal. And I'll put the link in the show notes. I'll try to find it while you're talking, but yeah.
Yeah. So I've been cooking and binge eating. And I used to, pasta was like one of my trigger foods, because I would cook up a whole pound of pasta, and I had spaghetti sauce, and then I had cheese on it, and, and melted that together. It was really good. And instead of just taking a portion, I had it sit next to me. I ate the whole thing. And at the end of the night, when I was talking to Sam, I'm like, I'm so stuffed. I'm Thanksgiving full right now. I haven't eaten like this in so long. And the anxiety of, getting this virus and being stuck in this house. Not that I went places anyhow.
Yeah.
I used to go to Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee and then go down to the river and...
But you have the option.
Right. I had the option. And I still can do that because there's nobody around it. But, so now what I do is I take the bottle of bleach, and when I go out, I wipe the steering wheel down in case I touch something else, because this virus, it lives everywhere. It comes for you. It's in the air. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Do you know, I don't know what... All of a sudden, I have a sick sense of humor. I did not have this for anything else. If you try to get me on, like, the news cycle, I want nothing to do with it. But all of a sudden, I started hearing about this, and I'm like, man, I really liked that movie Outbreak when I saw it. And I watched it last night. And you know what else? It's the number 7 movie in Netflix right now. So I'm not the only one with a sick sense of humor watching Outbreak.
Is that the one with Dustin Hoffman?
Yes. And you know what?
Yes.
That's actually, I watched that in school to learn about viruses. My class was actually watching it. The teacher would pause it and say, this is accurate, this is accurate. And for the most part, a lot of that movie, as far as how viruses spread and how it mutates and stuff, is accurate, but the timeline isn't. It makes it seem like the timeline is really, really quick for stuff, and it's not. He's like, yeah, this sort of stuff of mutation takes months. It's not an overnight thing like it is in the movie. But if anybody really wants to, don't, if you're scared. If you're getting scared, don't watch it. But if you're like me, Come
I got to tell you, even if you're scared, you got to start watching this stuff. I'm telling everybody to go watch that Joe Rogan episode or listen to it. It's episode 1439 with Michael Alstrom. And you have to listen to it because you got to be able to learn how to protect yourself. You just can't ostrich on this one. You can't.
Well, you could. That might actually help. Just stick your head in the sand. Don't go anywhere. But I know what you mean by ostrich. I was making
No. You stick your head in the sand because people are like, oh, it's only the flu. Only 2 people have it in Pennsylvania now. But what this virus is doing is it doubles. And it doubles in 4 days. So 2 people have it. Then 4 days later, 4 people have it. Then 16, then 20. And then when you get to 500 and 1,000, it envelops everything.
Yeah.
And people just don't understand.
At this point, everyone's just trying to keep it contained.
Yeah, and the younger people, kids, they're like, "Hey, $40 flights to California. This is fantastic." But if you go to airports and everything, they're empty. They're empty.
Even when I was there, it was empty. Both of my planes, I only had one plane that was full, but my plane from both times from New York to Atlanta, I had an empty seat next to me. The first flight down, the whole row next to me was empty. I don't even mean the next 2 seats. I mean like 5 seats all the way to the other window. It was empty from New York to Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's unusual because Atlanta is a huge hub.
Yeah. So
all I'm saying is if you're obese and you have some issues with either breathing or something, if you're a smoker or something like that, you really have to protect yourself. We want to keep you around. We don't like losing listeners at all. So we just want you to pay attention because there's a lot of false information out there too. And that's the hardest part.
There is. And even though we're talking about this on our show, we are not doctors. Please do your own research. Make sure you're vetting things. Go to Snopes too. There are a few things that have already gone viral, like people talking about there's a pandemic or a sickness every election year. Snopes has proved that false. It's not, there's no conspiracy.
I don't know. I think they're out to get the fats and the olds.
Well,
it seems like it. It's all about Social Security. They don't want to pay us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just everybody be careful. If it does hit you, it's not, I don't even want to say anything. I'm so worried about saying something and being like, oh, if it does hit you. And I'm like, anything I say after that, I have no proof. I shouldn't even say anything.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't even know because that's going to be changing. The treatment of it's going to be changing over the next couple of weeks because they're learning things that are happening in China and in South Korea because they're starting to turn it around.
Yeah, it's starting to level off at least. But.
So just pay attention. Try to get the best news that you can and see what happens. There's not going to be a virus for a couple of years or a vaccine for a couple of years for this.
Yep. Yeah.
They'll fast track it, but you're not 100, you won't know.
Yeah, that was one of the things in Outbreak that my teacher had to pause for. I remember specifically they had the vaccine within hours and he paused the video. He's like, no, no, you do not get the vaccine in hours. You get the vaccine in months.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes the guy said in the Joe Rogan interview, he said, I could make you a vaccination tomorrow, but it might do more harm to you than good. We have to test it on animals and then we have to test it on, they're already trying to, it's like $7,000. You can be a test guinea pig for the coronavirus. I'm not doing it, but if you need a quick $7,000,
yeah,
you weren't afraid. I don't know.
I mean, people are losing money because of it. So. Anyway.
Yeah. So I'm dude cooking. I'm not going out anymore for food.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where that is. And, like I said, and I'm freaking out over here. So that's been my week.
We had food delivered to us yesterday. And I remember opening the door and trying my hardest to give this guy a giant smile because I feel like he was I actually saw like he was nervous about coming to somebody's house. And I'm like, oh, no, we're not sick. We're just lazy as fuck. I'm sorry. Like,
right.
I mean, sorry.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's getting crazier. All right. Well, let's do something. Let's talk about something a little bit more upbeat.
Yes.
You want to do some Winning Wednesdays?
Absolutely. We have 2 weeks worth, right?
Yep.
All right.
Winning Wednesday. Winning Wednesday. Winning Wednesday. Winning Wednesday.
And before we go into this, I do have to say that documentary I was talking about, it's called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, and it's really great for amateur cooks. I'm looking forward to watching it to try to figure out if that's the formula for successful meals. Okay, I can work with that. But if you just throw ingredients at me, no, I can't do it. I can't.
I hear you. And to be honest with you, now that I have so much time on my hands, I'll probably be watching that too.
Well, there you go. Have you watched Brittany Runs a Marathon?
I have not.
Okay.
I forgot.
The only reason I ask is because I finally did the show notes for episode 84, and we were talking about that, and I meant to ask if you had seen it. So that's all. But yeah, we'll have to
I'll have to put that on my queue so I can watch it, because there's going to be a lot of TV watching going on now.
All right. Well, now that I've stalled time so I could scroll down to our Winning Wednesdays. So this is from last week. Ingrid hit 40,000 steps and had another 10,000 step day.
My Samantha has successfully logged in her food intake for 14 days and lost a pound.
I love that you're both doing this together. I think that's great that you're checking in with each other.
It is. I should talk about that after we get done with this.
Yeah.
But remind me to do that.
Erica's still working IF 1 week and 5 pounds down.
Whoops, I misfired.
Fair enough.
Sorry. Ken, 10,000 steps a day for 7 days straight and counting, and also down another 2 pounds.
Sherry, I lost 2 pounds this week, so down 9 pounds. Wow.
Holy cow, that is good.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love seeing new names in these Winning Wednesdays too, everyone. So come on into the group and join us and give us your Winning Wednesdays and post like no one's watching, just like I dance now.
Right, I even got my Samantha posting now.
I know, I'm so happy she's posting.
I know. So here we go. Erica, 2 weeks in intermittent fasting, I'm 6 pounds down and back down to a second number. I've only ever briefly encountered before and never without pharmaceutical support, which is phenamine. I've worked up to a 16-8 pretty constantly, increasing fluids, eliminating cream from my beverages entirely, saving me probably 300 to 400 calories a day. The success has helped me get back into cleaning up my eating hours without obsessing. Working hard to make this an organic change in my life rather than an all-in or F it behavior. I like that.
I love it. Every little change is a move toward the positive. Oh, I love it, Erica. That's great. Ingrid, I have been bumped up to a 40-step challenge, a 40,000 step challenge. Wow.
Of course.
Of course.
That's all she does is walk.
I know.
I think it's fantastic.
Ingrid, I'm curious if you listen to us while walking, too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, she must listen to, I would imagine she listens to a ton of podcasts because she's walking all the time.
Yeah. You know what,
which is
guys,
great.
in our group, I think I want to do a post of what do you listen to? What podcast do you listen to while you exercise? Because we only come out once a week. We know we're long-winded, but we want to know what else you're listening to.
Right. There's also the walking podcast.
That's right. Wellness While Walking, 30-minute podcast. And I make sure to put that beep in there because I'm the editor for it, like right in the middle mark so that you know to turn around. There was one week I still had it muted and I was like, don't put it out. I didn't put the beep in. People will just keep walking.
They'll be 20 miles from their house.
I know. Didn't want that.
All right. My Samantha, love my fitness pal. I'm down 1.4 pounds from last week.
Oh, that's so great. I want to say my Teresa. I love my Teresa. Our Teresa who draws
Our Teresa.
She draws wonderful pictures you see in the Hate to Wait discussion group. Non-scale win, but it's a big one. I completed my annual Voodoo Challenge, resulting in a collection of 49 art-inspired, one-of-a-kind pieces. The final one was my favorite and tied everything up in a beautiful way. Oh, Teresa, that's so great.
So Teresa put in the Facebook group a guy who had Taco Bell written across his knuckles.
Yeah.
And then she put broccoli written across her knuckles, which was fantastic. But then she couldn't get it all. She couldn't get the yank off of her
I didn't see that part. She couldn't get it. Oh, that's great, actually. I love that.
Yes.
You know what? I would screw it up, though, because I can never spell broccoli on the first try. That is my one just mental holdup of thinking, Is it 2 L's? Is it?
You know, it's almost like the thing in Clueless because you got to write them and then you have to make it so they look right. If you try to do it in the mirror, you do it backwards.
Oh, like in Mean Girls. And she puts
Mean
the
Girls.
K.
What did I say?
She puts the K on and it's backwards. Yeah.
Yes. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So real quickly, the thing with Samantha and I. So we both use MyFitnessPal. We both are able to see when we log in. When I'm having issues, when I'm not on plan, when I'm running amok, I don't log in. And she's like, Jersey, you got to log in. And I don't care. I don't care what if you're eating, log it.
Yeah.
So I go back and I log it because she's absolutely right. So she does keep me on track. And and then when I'm having problems, she says, well, why are you having problems? And then we sit down and we talk about it. And it really does help me get, if I'm off track, it's maybe a day and a half because she's watching. She's like, hey, what's going on over there? What are you doing? Log in. I know if you're not logging in, you're running amok over there. So. You
know what? And we talk about MyFitnessPal. I know other people in the group are doing MyFitnessPal. Do you want to say your name? Do you want other followers? Do people want to follow John?
You can all break my balls. No.
What else do you have to do, John? I'm giving you stuff to do while you're in quarantine, self-quarantine, self-containment.
So here you go. I am Hate to Wait John.
All right. Oh, I didn't even realize you had the Hate to Wait in there.
Yeah, Hate to Wait John. And my avatar is the Hate to Wait logo.
Cool.
So yeah, if you want to follow me, come on over. And again, listen, I know that, that's when I would drop off. I don't want to log this. The same way when I would gain weight. I don't want to come on here and talk about that.
I don't want to come on and talk about it.
I don't want to come on here and tell everybody I gained, what was it the one time I gained 15 pounds? In 2 weeks. Holy cow. So, but no, it's been a huge help. And she's down like 10 pounds now.
Wonderful.
She's doing fantastic. And, we have a lot of the same issues with food and using food for comfort and using food to, when we're having a bad day, it's our go-to thing. And now that she's writing this all down, it's really helping her. And she's got way more willpower than I do. But she's keeping me on the straight and narrow.
I do have to say with MyFitnessPal, I did realize that for me, when I wasn't doing intermittent fasting and I was thinking about food all day, like waking up thinking about food, I was very obsessed with it. And it got to the point where it was distracting me from everything. And it was like, I can't do this or else I won't log my food. And so I think the control of intermittent fasting, where I only have to think about food for a few hours every day, that's made it so that I don't get unhealthily obsessed with it. And I was going to say, when I'm doing it right is when I'm putting tomorrow's food in today.
So it's a meal plan.
Yeah.
So it's not a reaction. It's not like I go in and I go, holy shit, did I just eat that? Like one time I ate a pizza. Here's what happened. I called and got a pizza and I only had 2 slices that night. And I was like, hey, look at me. The next day I had the other 6. But I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then when I put the calories in, it wasn't really that bad, and it was within my window.
Yeah.
So, the calories were there. Was it the best thing to eat? I don't know. It's like I said, it's the bread and
the cheese and the oil.
And the cheese, right. Yeah, all that stuff. And, of course, I had mushrooms and hot peppers or hot sausage on it, which is lovely. So, anyhow, at least I put it in there. At least I'm owning it. So... like right now, I'm still doing the shakes. I'm trying to get more to one meal and then liquid shakes to try to keep the calories down. The bread, as soon as you log the bread in, like a slice of bread is 120 calories.
Yeah.
So it's the sandwich is 240 calories of bread and 150 calories of meat and cheese and mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, why don't I just take this meat and cheese and slather some mayonnaise on it, roll it up, and eat that?
Yep.
I could eat more meat and cheese without the bread.
Stick it in a pepper. Just open up a pepper.
Yeah, I didn't like the pepper thing. It was the pepper's overpowering.
Really, even a green pepper?
The pepper. I tried that.
I've never liked how crunchy vegetables are. And you know what? This is why I was so fat growing up. Anything that got in the way of listening to the TV, I didn't eat. So, yeah, crunchy vegetables, because that was the, back in the day, I had to get up and turn the volume up manually. I didn't want to do that because I was lazy. I was a lazy child, lazy fat kid who, even Cheetos sometimes, I would just let them kind of melt in my mouth because they were too crunchy and I wouldn't be able to.
Can't hear the TV.
Couldn't hear the TV, so I didn't eat healthy. I ate fruit roll-ups, I ate fruit snacks, I ate soft things that didn't, bread, pasta, all nice and soft. Man, give me a carrot. Better be during a commercial.
I'm thinking about putting it in a pickle. One slice of bread is equivalent to my carb limit for the day. Who said that? I can't. Got to get to the other thing so I can see it.
We do have one more Winning Wednesday.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
How did I miss that? They must have slipped it in there after I did my...
I thought you were going on Teresa's thing for a while, and I was like, okay.
No, I must have missed it.
But
go ahead.
We'll add this in.
Was it me?
Jennifer, she visited her doctor on Friday. He passed on a welcomed congratulations that I have been maintaining my weight for over a year. I have to say I hated to hear that because of all the years regain. Fear creeps in. Silver lining is I have this live/podcast to keep me focused, and a big thank you to John and Emily and this community. Jennifer, we are so happy that you are here. And you know what, Jennifer is the one, 11:07. She DMs me. I'm at the airport. She's like, is there right to wait today? And I'm like, no, there's not. I'm sorry. So thank you so much, Jennifer. You know what? I wish, honestly, as a podcaster, listeners like that, they warm my heart and they make me realize, like, yeah, people do want to hear us babble on about this.
Believe it or not.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And you get a...
You sure do.
All right. So, you know what that means.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
So the bad thing about being off for 2 weeks is it gives me more time to run amok. And, like I said, Samantha did reel me in. But I am up 2 pounds, which is a win for me because when I got on the scale earlier in the week, I was up 10.
But last week, just to remind everybody, when you did your solo episode, you were down 18, correct?
Yeah, I was up. So I'm up 2. But there was a lot of, I was falling off the wagon. The wagon was dragging me down the road. And I got back up on the wagon again. So here's the other thing. And I talked to Samantha about this, and I'm going to talk about it here too. I think there's an issue with me about the surgery. I don't want to get it, but I know I have to get it. And the closer I get to being able to go get the surgery, the more my anxiety comes up. And I think I'm self-sabotaging myself, where I go back and gain weight so I can't get the surgery. Samantha says, you know what, then don't get the surgery. She goes, because this is ridiculous. Then just keep going and then don't get the surgery. So that was a big talk. We had a big talk about this because I was only 5 pounds away from being able to be scheduled or go on the liquid diet.
How is this coming out at 54 minutes into this episode? This sounds like the big thing.
Yeah, it didn't. I forgot it. It didn't make my little Post-it note. But as we were talking about this, that was the thing of battling back and forth. And when we were talking about it, there was a lot going on. I was close to the weight. Then it means I have to go to the hospital. What's in a hospital? Germs, viruses. I mean, I was freaking me out.
Yeah.
I was losing my shit. And so that was that. And there was, well, how do I not do that? Well, if I gain another 10 pounds or 15 pounds, I can't go because I can't do it's just self-sabotage and all kinds of nonsense that's going on right now. So I'm still sticking to it. I'm plowing on. And, like I said, Samantha's behind me.
Good. I'm so glad you have Samantha. I'm so glad that Samantha is so supportive of you. Because when you hit that number on the scale, nobody's going to come knocking on your door dragging you to surgery.
That's true. I don't have to go. They can't make me.
They can't make you. You could just keep losing on your own, and then and then at that point, you just know, okay, I could just walk in and get surgery whenever I want, but let me just keep trying it my way.
Well, yeah, but we have members in here that have had wonderful results from it, and I'm just a big baby. I'm just a big chicken shit baby. And if I had this surgery in a year, I'd be like, boy, I was so stupid. I should have had this 5 years ago. I lost 5 years of my life doing this nonsense and all, and I'm doing things that I could never do before. And right now, I'm a hermit hiding from a virus.
I say stay in your house for now. Just worry about not getting the virus.
That's it, because then the show's over. Well, you can always get somebody else. You can always get somebody else to do the show.
But then all my Post-its, they like all of these Post-its, this is us. I'm not going to get somebody else. I'm not going to lose my co-host to coronavirus.
I hope.
You can cut this out in
Your
post.
mouth to God's ears. And Jennifer's in the chat. She says, fear is real. Silver lining are real too. You will get to Canada sooner after surgery. Absolutely 100% right. I have to get to Canada. I have to meet Sam's people. Mm-hmm. Talk about that all the time.
You know what? And you're going to go to Canada. I feel like you're going to do very well in Canada.
I have a feeling I will too. I have a feeling they might be my people too. Although I'm a little bit abrasive for Canadians. But Sam's she's like a Jersey Canadian. I've never seen anybody from Canada have the Jersey attitude like she does.
Yeah, she does. That's why when you two are together, I'm like, of course they're together. Of course they are.
It's hysterical. It's she does have the Jersey attitude, which I think is fantastic. All right, now how about you?
I'm down 5 pounds.
Look at you.
I'm actually close to a new second number. I've barely seen the scale enough in this second number to really fully get into it, but all the dancing, all the movement. Actually, I came back, I was even less, and I had a feeling it was because there was a day that when I was traveling, I didn't eat as much. So I was like, okay, that weight's not real, but it's nice to know that I've seen that number now. And so today I got on the scale and I was up again. I was like, okay, that's all right. This is a fine number. I'm still down 5. I actually, at the conference, if anybody goes to podcasting conferences, probably many conferences have this, but there are so many free t-shirts that the vendors give out. And when I was telling the vendors, oh, what sizes do you have? Can I have a men's large or a women's medium? I was, a men's medium and a women's large. Hearing those words come out of my mouth, being like, are you sure? And then having to tell myself, yes, I'm sure. All of my clothes right now are baggy. I have a bunch of XLs. And you know what else? As much as I love sweatshirts, if they're in XL, they're not as warm. A lot of air goes through there and they're not as warming as I want them to be. So I actually have to go more fitted. And I was really happy to just happily accept these small t-shirts and then go back to the Airbnb and put it on and have it fit. And I'm not going to lie, we had a lot more mirrors in the Airbnb than I have at home. And it was nice to catch myself and be like, that is me. And walking around the conference, having people say, you're half the woman you used to be, because a lot of these people saw me at She Podcast and I was 20 pounds heavier then. And then many of them haven't seen me since Podfest last year, and I was at least 50 pounds heavier then. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And congratulations. I mean, you've done a fantastic job. And I've seen, like I said, I think you even put a picture out last year and this year. Mm-hmm. Didn't you do it was a Podfest picture from last year and this year? And it was a big difference.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Yeah, and that's also really hard to see. That's hard for me to see. And especially in mirrors, that's another thing where I do find myself needing to look at my reflection more to just remind myself, that's me. Stop getting scared when you're seeing this stranger in a mirror. You have to get used to, this is how you look. You don't have the jowls anymore as much. Thank you.
Annette says, I'm watching the podcast on the big screen and you look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for letting me ramble on about my crazy coronavirus fear. And if you want to join the group, it is a fantastic group, and I love these people so much. Just go to hatetowait.com/Facebook, and then if you want the show notes and anything we've talked about, go to hatetowait.com. All right, Emily, anything else that I forget? Because it's been a while since we've done this.
I know. You know what? I do want to thank everybody who comes into our chat room every week and hangs out with us live. We have Joanne, Annette, I saw Jennifer. I'm going to do the Miss Molly's Magic Mirror right now. We have Craig, Carolyn, everybody who's come into the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And everybody who's listening to us later on your podcast app, thank you so much. We hope you subscribe so you get more. And anybody who I met at PodFest who is now listening to Hate to Wait, hello.
Yes, and Alyssa's in here too.
Alyssa, I'm sorry. I was scrolling really quickly, but thank you to everybody who's been in here.
And Alyssa's a new grandmother, and she's loving it.
How exciting. That's really exciting.
Absolutely.
You didn't talk about that win, did you?
Which win?
Grandparents?
I think I did. If I didn't, I did it on the...
You didn't.
Well, I didn't talk about that?
No, that's a you win.
All right, so yes, I am going to be a grandfather
Doo-doo!
in October. Yeah, there you go. My oldest is, she's going to have a baby, and she's due right around my birthday, so it'll be quite the birthday present.
That's so exciting. Yeah, I was listening to the solo episode, and I was waiting for you to mention that, and I even wrote it into the show notes thinking you would have mentioned it, and then you didn't, and I was like, oh, I don't want to give it away.
You know what? I wasn't allowed to because there was a couple people that, and again, who's listening to this podcast that knows me from the family?
Right.
No one. Right. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, yes. I'm going to be a grandfather.
Grandpa John.
Grandpa
John Domingo.
I just wanted to be G-Pop. No one will listen. My grandkids, Travis, who is my grandson, he doesn't call me, he just calls me Pop-Pop, which is fine. But I always wanted to be G-Pop. I thought G-Pop would be good. But then again, Biden ruined it with using Corn Pop as that one guy that used to be so... Pop-Pop, Corn Pop, Sugar Pop, whatever you want to call me.
K-Pop.
K-Pop. There you go. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye. Later, waiters.